House will come to order. Members, please take your seats. Sergeant at Arms.
The House is now in session. All persons not entitled to privilege of the floor, please retire to the gallery.
The members will rise and be led in prayer by Reverend Michael Chance, pastor, New Mount Vernon Baptist Church, Portsmouth, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which will be led by the delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
May we pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your benevolence, grace, your unceasing mercy. We come before you with hearts full of gratitude and the spirit of humbleness in your presence. Lord, even with the loss of one of our very own, we ask for your guidance and wisdom as we embark upon the decisions and discussions of this session. Grant us clarity of thought, fairness in judgment, and compassion of our deliberations. Today is a day of significance as we gather not only to conduct the vital work of governance, but to acknowledge the prowess and legacy of a distinguished leader. We reflect on a momentous chapter of our history and honoring the achievements of none other than Governor Doug Wilder. And celebrating 40 years since his election as the 35th Lieutenant Governor and the first African-American elected to a statewide office here, we honor not only these formidable achievements, but also the progress they symbolize. Lord, let us follow his example, walking with purpose and integrity as stewards of the communities that we serve. We commit ourselves to serving those who have placed their trust in us. With your grace, may our work reflect the principles of justice, love, and peace. In your name we do pray. Amen.
He's going to you next.
The members will answer the roll call by indicating their presence on the electronic voting board. Clerk will close the roll.
Mr. Speaker, a quorum is present.
Pursuant to House Rule 3, I've examined and approved the Journal of the House of Delegates for January 16, 2025. Motions and resolutions under Rule 39 pursuant to the rules of Rule 40 are now in order. Does the clerk have any announcements or communication?
Mr. Speaker, I simply remind the body that today at 3 o'clock is the deadline for all bills and joint resolutions to be filed with the clerk, the front desk staff. 3 o'clock, that's a hard deadline. Mr. Speaker, in this first portion of the morning hour, Speaker requests pursuant to House Rule 40 that you use the request to speak button for the agenda items listed for reference up on the voting board.
The delegate from Chesapeake, Delegate Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, I rise to introduce to you a dear friend of mine and pastor who shared with us the invocation today, Pastor Michael D. Chance. Pastor Chance is a native of Norfolk, Virginia, and has dedicated his life to the spiritual growth and empowerment of others. For the past 16 years, he has faithfully served as the pastor of New Mount Vernon Baptist Church, leading his congregation with compassion, conviction, and a commitment to holistic discipleship. His journey in Christian leadership began humbly in 1997 when he answered the call to serve as an ordained deacon at the age of 27. Reverend Chance's dedication to service extends beyond the pulpit. As the reentry specialist for the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office and under Sheriff Michael Moore, he works tirelessly to help returning citizens find new pathways of opportunity and reintegration into society, a role that reflects his commitment to justice, redemption, and hope. Reverend Chance is not only a devoted servant of the Lord, but also a proud family man, married to his beloved wife, Mrs. Tawana Boone Chance, and together they embody the values of faith, love, and community service. And, Mr. Speaker, I would be remiss if I did not highlight one more important affiliation. Reverend Chance is a proud member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, where we all share the values and appreciate that friendship is essential to the soul. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, please join me as we extend a warm house welcome to Pastor Michael Chance.
Welcome, Pastor Chance. And he was doing really, really well to the end, but that's okay. Because y'all know what the good book says. God, I'm Alpha, and I forget the rest how it ends. The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Torrey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the delegate rise?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to request permission to take the center aisle for a presentation and ask the Richmond delegation and the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus to join me.
The delegate may take the center aisle.
Come on up. I'm here. Stay right there.
No, I'm going to stay behind Mr. Speaker.
Slide your chair over just a little bit.
The clerk will report a resolution.
Mr. Speaker, House Resolution number 481, commending Lawrence Douglas Wilder. This resolution was agreed to by the House yesterday, January 16th. It is now before you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker and members of the House, today is an extraordinary day in the life of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Today, we welcome back to this chambers L. Douglas Wilder, a legend here in the Commonwealth of Virginia that each and every Virginian should value and appreciate his work on the behalf of every citizen here in the Commonwealth. Born in 1931, he is a Richmonder. And today, we celebrate his 94th birthday. Yeah. In 1951, he earned a degree in chemistry from Virginia Union University, laying the groundwork for not only myself as a graduate, but for delegates McQuinn, Price, Clark, and Jones as well. In 1969, he became the first African-American elected to the Senate of Virginia. In 1995, he became the first African-American elected as the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth. And in 1989, he was elected Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, the first black governor elected to the governorship in the United States of America. He has been known to say, if you want to know where people's priorities are, follow the money. So under his leadership, many of you have heard of the Rainy Day Fund. That rainy day fund was created by Governor Wilder to protect the citizens of the Commonwealth and our economy in the event that the economy turned south so that we could continue the work here in the Commonwealth. Governor Wilder signed into law our recognition of the Martin Luther King Day, and we are grateful for that as a holiday. And then he did not sit down on his laurels after leaving the governorship. He was elected mayor of the city of Richmond in 2005. Senator, lieutenant governor, governor, and mayor, I think he's covered it all in representing Virginia. And lastly, I would say this, Mr. Speaker. I was a young man when I came to Richmond, and he was governor. He welcomed us into the mansion. And for years, I've had his signed picture in my office. It will stay there because it serves as a significant inspiration for my life and others whom I may come in contact with, and to share with them the specialness of this gentleman that stands in this chamber today. Thank you, Governor, for your legacy. Thank you for your inspiration. Thank you for your advocacy. And now I yield to my colleague from the city of Richmond, Delegate Carr.
Thank you, Chair Torian. I am so proud to stand here today in recognition of a transformational Virginian, a man who has dedicated his life and career to the city of Richmond, the Commonwealth, and of course to our country. You heard from my colleague all the accolades of Governor Wilder's life. But I want to remind folks that after serving as governor, has been mentioned, 2 decades later, when most people slipped into a comfortable and very well-deserved retirement, Governor Wilder ran for and became mayor of the city of Richmond. I want to take a minute to explain how significant that was. Richmond was struggling. Governor Wilder had certainly earned his retirement, but instead, he chose to once again serve Virginians and helped Richmonders. And after serving as mayor, today, at 94 years old, Governor Wilder is active and involved, founding and leading and teaching, a distinguished professor at the VCU school named after him, the L. Douglas Wilder School of Government and Public Affairs. Governor Wilder is an inspiration, an icon of what it means to lead and to serve. I look around this chamber and I see the wonderful impact of his trailblazing career. I look at our incredible speaker. I look at our caucus chair. And I look at all the seats filled by diverse Virginians, different races, genders, and ethnicities. Governor Wilder broke barriers, set an example of leading, and now has an incredible legacy in this room, across the hall, around the Commonwealth, and yes, around our country. I will close by thanking him for his contributions at every level, and with a quote of his that is so important for all of us in this room. Leadership means to lead. You don't fill a category, you're not filling a slot, you're not cut any slack. To the contrary, you've got to measure up. May we all measure up to his example.
That's right.
Thank you, Governor Wilder. Thank you.
That is right.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chair Torian. It is an honor, a true honor, to stand before a true giant in this country, in this nation, in this Commonwealth. It has been my delight and one of the joys of my life to form a friendship with you. Now, I read an article a few times that said the only thing worse than being Doug Wilder's enemy has been Doug Wilder's friend. And I am his friend, which means with that friendship comes total honesty, which comes total accountability, but more importantly, it comes with total commitment. He is a friend to the end who is totally committed. I cannot think of a better way to honor your 91st birthday than to have you here for a center hour presentation in the House. And with that, unfortunately, Governor, I get the last word for once in a conversation with us. I will call on Madam Leader to make a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House stand in recess until 12:36.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that the House stand in recess until 12:36. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. House is in recess 12:36. Congratulations, Governor. House will come to order. Delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Jones.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for a purpose of an introduction.
Delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker and members, in the gallery today we have representatives from VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center. I'd ask them to stand. In the past 2 years, Massey celebrated its 50th anniversary and achieved NCI comprehensive designation, ranking among the top 4% of cancer centers nationwide. The designation opens doors for Massey to deepen research, attract top-tier scientists, and advance new cancer treatments. What sets Massey apart is its community-centric approach, engaging in meaningful conversations and breaking down barriers between community and medical organizations. Looking to 2025 this year, the Cancer Center aims to make further advancements in cancer prevention, screening, treatment, and survivorship care, ensuring accessibility for all Virginians, particularly those in rural areas. VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center is not just a center of excellence, it's a force driving positive change in the fight against cancer. I want to remind everyone not to forget to mark your calendars for February the 11th at the Siegel Center for the 17th year of the Capitol Square Basketball Classic benefiting Massey. This time-honored tradition is not only a heated competition between the House and the Senate and the lobbyists and the governor's office, but also a way for us to reach across the aisle and raise valuable funds for groundbreaking cancer research in the Commonwealth. They make easy, Mr. Speaker, when people hear those three words, "you have cancer," and I would ask and request that the members join me in extending a warm House welcome to our guest today.
Thank you, and thank you for the work that you do every day. The delegate from Stafford, Delegate Milday.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
Delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, in the gallery today, we have the newly elected chairman of the board of Stafford County, who happens to also be the first African American ever elected to that position. He's obviously a full-time sheriff's deputy, a career deputy, and a VMI alum, and a friend. So I would ask that you please join me in giving a warm house welcome to Chairman Diggs.
Welcome to the Capitol today. The delegate from Roanoke, Delegate McNamara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So many of us today were visited by the CPAs, our local CPAs that have been in the building, and many of them may be up in the gallery. They're very efficient. They may have already gone home. I'm not sure. This is part of the CPA Assembly Day at the Capitol every year. The Virginia Society of CPAs represents nearly 12,000 CPAs, was founded in 1909. They keep us straight, they help us with tax policy, and they're here to work on workforce development this year as far as their legislative priorities. Please, if they're not here, I'm sure they're watching or listening in their car rides home, if you could give them a warm house welcome. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Welcome absent CPAs who are very efficient. The clerk will call the next order of business.
Mr. Speaker, the second portion of the morning hour, member requests to move legislation. I'm not aware of any such requests.
Pursuant to House Rule 30, the journal shall reflect that the following members are away on pressing personal business and are granted leave from today's session: Delegates Marshall, McQuinn, and Orrock. The clerk will call the next order of business.
Mr. Speaker, the third portion of the morning hour, a member requests to legislation go by for the day. Mr. Speaker, I'm not aware of any such requests.
Clerk will announce the next order.
For the final portion of the morning hour, reserved for member requests for points of personal privilege. Speaker asks that you use your request to speak button if you're so inclined to speak.
Clerk will call the calendar.
The calendar for today, Friday, January 17th, 2025. Mr. Speaker, the first category, page 2 of the printed calendar, if you're following along that way. Category of House bills on second reading, regular calendar. Second reading, regular. Mr. Speaker, first up, House Bill 1638, which seeks to amend and reenact three sections of the Code of Virginia related to the Department of Housing and Community Development, Virginia Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, Affordable Housing, Criminal Record Screening Model Policy. Legislation Report Committee on General Laws with amendments.
Delegate from Chesapeake, Delegate Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I do believe we have amendments from the committee. I'd like to move that we accept those amendments.
Shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The committee amendment is agreed to. Delegate Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, the current practice in Virginia allows rental agents and landlords to deny housing individuals with felony convictions, regardless of the nature of the offense or how much time has passed since said conviction. This practice contributes to homelessness as well as it stifles one's opportunity of a chance to return fully back into society with dignity. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, this initiative aligns with this bill. We've heard the governor speak in terms of reentry, and he's also stated that a successful reentry program includes providing stable housing. However, in Virginia, too many individuals with felony convictions, regardless of how old these convictions are continuously denied rental housing and solely based on their criminal records in past. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, this bill is about redemption, it's about eradicating recidivism, and it's about providing dignity for those who are returning to society with a place of housing and a cover over with shelter over their head. And I ask that we approve this legislation on third read.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Everybody is rusty. Everybody rusty.
Mr. Speaker, continuing with the calendar, bottom of page 2, House Bill 1718 is now before you. This legislation seeks to amend and reenact sections of the Code of Virginia relating to the Virginia Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, this time regarding enforcement by localities. Again, this legislation report on general laws.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Price.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 1718 would grant localities the authority to enforce the health and safety provisions of the Virginia Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, and therefore help them to protect the communities they serve. This would help local officials make their communities healthier, protect the rights of tenants, promote conciliation between tenants and landlords through state intervention, and increase landlord compliance with those provisions. And when you hear landlord, I would love for you to hear slumlord, because that is really who we are targeting in these. So those properties that are neglected, that have been neglected, that the tenant cannot get the health and safety fixes that they need. And this bill is identical to last year's House Bill 597, and we had bipartisan support and more than 40 organizations that support it on behalf of renters and landlords. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that we would engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Continuing with the calendar, next category, commending resolutions laid on the Speaker's table, top of page 3 of the printed calendar. Bill, resolution before you is Senate Joint Resolution 279, commending the Reverend Dr. Kirkland R. Walton.
All those in favor of adopting the resolution will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The resolution is agreed to.
Ms. Speaker, that is the completion of today's live portion of the calendar.
Per House Rule 51, that completes per House Rule 51, the House is returned to the morning hour. Does the clerk have any additional announcements or communication?
Ms. Speaker, simply remind everyone that within 2 hours and 15 minutes is the deadline for any legislation to be introduced for the 2025 session. That's a hard deadline, so please plan accordingly. Looking ahead to the rest of this afternoon, Committee on Appropriations is meeting 30 minutes, half hour after adjournment of the House. They'll be up on the 12th floor as usual. Once they are finished, the Committee on Health and Human Resources, they'll be meeting 45 minutes after adjournment of the full committee, but it's all up on the 12th floor, so appropriations in the HHR sub. Courts of Justice is meeting 15 minutes after adjournment of the House. They'll be in House Committee Room C, and then immediately upon adjournment of the full committee, also in House Room C, the Courts of Justice Criminals Subcommittee will be meeting. So courts and just criminals sub this afternoon over on the second floor of the GAB. Mr. Speaker, looking ahead to Monday, which is a state and federal holiday, but a working day for members of the General Assembly and staff. So on the 20th, first meeting will be Finance, Subcommittee number 1. They'll be meeting at 7 a.m. in the House Committee Room B. 7 a.m. House Committee Room B for that Finance sub. Education K-12 sub will meet at 7:30. They'll be in House Committee Room A on the lower level. Then once they are finished, presumably then the full committee will meet at 8 o'clock in House Committee Room A again. And then once the full committee's finished, then the Higher Ed Subcommittee will meet immediately upon adjournment of the full committee, and all that's downstairs on Monday morning in House Room A. Communications, Technology, Innovation Communications, Technology, Innovations Communications Subcommittee will meet at 8 o'clock on Monday up on the second floor in House Room C. CTI Communications Sub. Then Appropriations, Comp, and Retirement. They'll meet at 9 on Monday morning up in the Appropriations Room on the 12th floor. And then sorry about the disconnect there. Communications, Technology, Innovation, the full committee meets at 10 o'clock in House Room C, so there might be a slight lag between that, but those are all in House Room C. And then finally, Mr. Speaker, the Republican caucus is meeting at 11 o'clock on Monday. 11 o'clock on Monday for the Republican caucus in House Room 2. Democrats will be meeting in the House Room 1 at 11 o'clock. That's all the announcements I have at this time.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Mr. Speaker, I move that when the House adjourned today, it adjourn to reconvene Monday, January 20th at 12 noon.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourn to reconvene Monday, January 20th at 12 noon. As many in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. The Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
The Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that the House do now adjourn. As many in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. The House stands adjourned until Monday, January 20th at 12 noon.